Hey, Ag Teacher Thoughts here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to answer a question about Firefly Petunias that's been bouncing around the forums since, of course, last year. And that's going to be a little bit about what are the most ideal conditions that you can put a Firefly Petunia in. Maybe I don't live in an area that has ideal conditions, so what can they handle? What can a Firefly Petunia live with and deal with to the point where I can still raise it and I can still enjoy it? So as you can see from the lead into this video, we're at 103 degrees here in North Idaho. And for where I live, that's not uncommon. In fact, typically during the year, we're going to have a 2 to 3 week stretch where we're going to get to 110 to 115 degrees at our home site here in North Idaho. Now, if you know a little of the surrounding area, you may say, hey, well, that's not what the weather station says. Well, that's because the weather station's almost 1,000 feet up that direction, and it gets different weather than I do here. I am on a west-facing slope. I am down about 1,000 feet lower in elevation, and in the full sun all day. So it's not really shaded, so it does get a chance to get well into 100 degrees and beyond. And it does that routinely. Every year that I've lived here in this home, we've had a 2 to 3 week stretch where it's been 105 to 110, even up to 115 degrees. So let's look at some of my Firefly Petunias, and we'll kind of talk about what they can handle, where you should place them, and really how they're going to react to that. So this is my main Firefly Petunia plant for this year. As you can see, I've got it in a much larger container. This is a several gallon container. It holds about as much soil as a 5-gallon bucket. And it's filled with Sunshine Grow Mix number 4. This plant is doing its best job at blooming its little head off. It has been completely covered in blossoms. It's watered just about every day. And it's about time that I start up a fertilizer regimen again. I've been really busy with school. That's now since ended, so now I can go back and fully put all of my attention into my Firefly Petunias. So this plant here, it does sit out on my back porch. Again, I told you the temperatures do get up to 105 to 110 degrees. I can tell just by the heft of this plant that it is fully watered. There's no signs of wilt on here. There's no signs of sunburn. I'm not seeing any scorching on the leaves. This plant is doing just fine right here in the full hot heat and sun. This is my other batch of Firefly Petunias. Now these are my retirees from last year. These are the ones that were used in our fertilizer test trial. They're out here on a raised bed that I constructed earlier this year. Full hot sun all day long. With these, I'm not really seeing any growth difference than my other Firefly Petunia. With these, they did get a really hard trim a couple of months ago, and they're really kind of in the rebuilding phase. So they're in regular soil. That does need to be amended with some fertilizer, and I'm going to start a granular fertilizer regimen on these so that I can have a better system and a less expensive system for fertilizing them and keeping them in an optimal growth situation. With these, there's no real special care. I'm just kind of treating these like my regular petunias that I have in my raised bed. I'm not babying them. They get overhead irrigation at night, the same as the lawn. On really hot days, I may come out and supplement them with some water during the day. But other than that, there's nothing really special that's going on with these petunias. And through the course of the summer, I expect that to be the case. I don't expect them to change all that much. I do expect them to continue to grow, to handle the heat just fine, and just overall provide that glowy aesthetic to my garden that I seek out of them, and really kind of show the durability of these plants, and that you don't really necessarily need to baby them as much as you might think with a plant that's been genetically engineered. This last group of Firefly Petunias that I have here, they do go into the shade at about 1 o'clock. And they are up against an east-facing wall. So these are my original Firefly Petunias. These are not a petunia that has had any breeding work. This is propagated cuttings from my original main plant. And as you can see, they're doing okay. They're doing just fine. Really kind of what I would expect for a Firefly Petunia. And they're amongst all the rest of my Firefly Petunia clones. So these are the ones that I'm doing the breeding work. I'm giving them a little bit of a break, being up against a wall where they still do get light, but they're shaded in the afternoon, and that's mainly just because this is a work area that I have, And this is also going to give me the opportunity to come out here and work in the hotter weather and still enjoy the work that I'm doing instead of suffering in the hot, direct heat of the sun. Now, I will say other people are going to have other opinions on the Firefly Petunias, and that is just fine. I am just giving you my personal experience and kind of my experience as a lifelong nurseryman so that you can understand your Firefly Petunias a little bit better. And as always, I will continue to provide more material and more information about Firefly Petunias, petunias in general, and then other hanging flower baskets that you might enjoy in your garden. As some of you realized from my last video, I did resign from the school where I most recently taught. I had been there 4 years. I did create a program there and build up a lot of growing facilities for our school. Now, that being said, as I've stepped away from that school, that means I no longer have facilities here or facilities available to me to continue the work in breeding and propagating the Firefly Petunias. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop, but it does mean that throughout this summer, I'm going to start working very hard to create growing facilities here at my home in order to maintain and continue my research on Firefly Petunias. Now, one of the ways that you can help me with that is by going back and watching any of the videos that you might have skipped and increasing the watch hours for the channel so that I can put up a membership page. That's only available to me if I have a certain number of watch hours, and we're less than 300 watch hours away from that happening. The other way that you can help is if you're one of the 83% of my viewers who have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. That will help boost the watch hours over time and then allow me to have a member page where we can start raising funds to build a growing site here at my homestead to continue to work on the Firefly Petunias. Long story short, as this summer continues, I'm going to continue to work on our Firefly Petunia hybrids and continue to bring you information about Firefly Petunias and other agricultural topics. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. I do definitely appreciate your subscription. And as always, I hope you've learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Ag Teacher Thoughts out.